All right. Thank you, Ron. It was a great introduction. I'm looking forward to share my slides, share my expertise, and what is this overall OpenAI world. Hello, everyone. I am Savita Mittal. I am Senior Cloud Solutions Architect at Microsoft USA. I work primarily in data and AI, and I cover a variety of topics in data and AI space, including data warehousing, Synapse, Azure Data Factory, data migration, and a bunch of AI services, including lots of cognitive services like Face API, Speech API, and Video Indexer, and the big super buzz AI service, which is OpenAI. And I'm also an integration expert. I say it like this, basically, give me a problem. I understand the overall Microsoft ecosystem, and I can connect different components, because these days it's not all about just working in one technology or one resource, like, okay, let's do the data warehouse and just work primarily in Synapse or work primarily in SQL. So in order to create cool applications, automate the applications, we have to connect different components. So today's session will cover lots of integration possibilities, how we can create lots of AI-enabled applications using a low-code, no-code platform, using some JavaScript and native programming languages as well. Any questions so far? All right. I think, Ron, you will monitor the questions for me?
Yes, I will monitor all the questions as they come in.
Sure. All right. So yeah, let's get started. With that said, OpenAI is basically nothing but a cloud-based platform that offers basically advanced capabilities, advanced AI capabilities to organizations and individuals. With OpenAI, we can build intelligent applications connecting different processes, automate processes, and gain valuable insights from the data using NLP. And we can apply different AI capabilities as well, like unstructured data. And I can share my next screen, which will cover that. Look at the screen. This is the overall AI platform, basically, where we have a lot of AI services and how we can integrate different AI services here. We have applications like Microsoft 365, Dynamic, and various partner solutions. In the AI platform, basically, we can integrate AI services in Power BI. We have Power BI with lots of visualization capabilities. So we can integrate AI services in there to even extract the data and transform the data, basically. We have Power Apps, no-code, low-code platform, where we can create cool UIs, basically, and connect with a bunch of AI services and lots of Azure resources. And not only Microsoft ecosystem, we can connect with outside Microsoft ecosystem as well, and we will look into that. Power Automate, it's a workflow-based approach where we can write pretty much the whole application, like lots of components, basically, if you're trying to move the data from SQL to Teams, from SQL to maybe want to create a file, or maybe from Teams, maybe somebody is sending a message and I want to create a ticket and add the data back to SQL Server, or like lots of components we can integrate within Power Automate. We just have to design the workflow, and we can kind of connect different connectors, and we can look into that as well. In AI world, we have some of these services. Bot service, we can create chatbot, not only ChatGPT, but a chatbot capability. And we have lots of possibilities like a Q&A maker and an Azure bot service. And these days it's ChatGPT. So these are different type of bot, but they all serve chatbot. We have cognitive search. Basically, we have AI-enabled search, basically, where we can create chat with your own data by crawling our organization documents or any kind of a data we have. So we want to create our own search-based engine like a Bing search or Google search with our own data. So cognitive search is that. Form recognizer is basically wherever we have invoices, receipts, and forms, so basically anything like a structured form, structured PDFs, a DMV forms, tax forms, medical forms, basically. So we can leverage form recognizer to extract the data out of those forms and submit that data to maybe SQL Server or any other database for further crawling or further creating services. Video Indexer, very cool service. Lots of use cases in today's world. We are dealing with lots of videos, like a police department. They have a body camera and they record the videos. Who has time to watch those 24-hour long video? Now we have AI services. So we those videos, get all the transcript out, we can get the key entities out, metadata out, and then we can create our own functions to query that data, or we can leverage ChatGPT, OpenAI to summarize those videos for us, basically, or we can connect those videos with Face API system to identify the faces from the criminal database perspective, and lots of possibilities. But the video indexer services like parse those videos. Similarly, we have vision, speech, language, decision, and OpenAI service. Like vision, basically vision service is primarily used from OCR perspective, where we can extract the data from PDF. PDFs are also treated as OCR, basically, and like images. Speech, wherever we are dealing with audio files, whether the real-time audio system or some audio files, basically customer service, or maybe in the forest, CAL FIRE, basically the fire departments, they are recording some sounds. So wherever we are like dealing with audio services, we can leverage that. So an OpenAI service, basically till before OpenAI service, we were just stopping right here after applying the services. OpenAI is basically wherever we have data, there's a room for OpenAI. Basically, I have petabytes of data I'm dealing with. With video, I have tons of files. With audio, I have lots of data now, basically parsing the data. But what do I do with that data? Now OpenAI can help me gaining insights out of their data and make informed decisions. Let's move on to the next screen. Okay. In OpenAI service, we have 4 valuable pillars, like unlock new use cases, you can tailor to your needs, apply AI responsibly, and access enterprise-grade level security. It has all the different models like GPT 3.5, GPT-4, Codex, DALL-E, and Microsoft can combine these tools like ChatGPT and DALL-E with Azure data handling, management, and scaling. So all other Azure fundamentals with scaling and security and governance and use AI responsibility, everything gets applied to OpenAI as well, basically. And OpenAI service provides a number of features, like we have pre-trained AI models. We can, developer can use pre-trained AI models by OpenAI, as I mentioned, like a GPT-3, GPT-4. These are just type of various models, we can say that. And we can add tons of advanced capabilities to the applications by combining other components within cloud or web services and HTTP service and other AWS cloud or any other cloud services and any other third-party applications as well. We also have a tools for fine-tuning the models. We can use the pre-trained models and apply some ML capabilities and apply NLP capabilities. And also we can combine the OpenAI service, as I showed in my previous screen, with other AI services like audio, video, speech, and vision, and bot services and all that. It is highly scalable because it is built on a platform. It means it can scale to handle large amounts of data, and it can, sorry, everything is visible. My internet connection is unstable. It also follows a security and compliance big time, like any other services. It is also designed to make it easier for developers and organizations to access the data and access the advanced AI models and algorithms to develop by OpenAI. Let's see how it works in the system. Look at that. GPT, basically, we have various prompts in GPT model. We have GPT-4, GPT 3.5, and lots of other embedding models are also coming, like Ada, Babbage, Curio, Cushman. But most of the time, it's like the submodel DaVinci and Ada is highly in use. The way GPT works, basically, it's a prompt world. Instead of saying it question, we are saying prompt in OpenAI world. Write any prompt. You must have been using the ChatGPT beta version and must be testing that. So basically, we have prompts, and in the OpenAI world, we can fine tune those prompts and we get the response. And similarly, in the Codex, where when we want to write a code, we can kind of informally say, I want to write some SQL query and with this, and then it will give me a SQL prompt. Or maybe I want to write a .NET code and it should be doing this. We can get quick snippet. I have a very great example. I was supposed to write a code, and earlier it was taking me like 4 to 5 days, but with the ChatGPT, was able to quickly write a code like within 4 hours. Of course, it won't be like a copy paste kind of a thing that whatever I'm asking, I'll be getting. It's like we can connect the dots in quick snippet code. And DALL-E, very useful in terms of creating the images live by any prompt. These images are not like a copyright images that it's coming from some search database. It is getting created by DALL-E model on the fly. So if I type 5 times, I'll get 5 different images. The way it's getting useful is basically for content writing, content creating campaigns, the products. So lots of different use creating the similar images, or it's there in like creative content world. It's any questions so far?
Not yet, but please keep them in, or please let's get them coming. I'm sure several of you have questions. Maybe Savita can address these, all about how you protect your data and how do you go about ensuring that your data is secure. It may not train your competitor's model.
Yes,
the other thing,
that is
Savita, is you might want to maybe turn off your camera if your internet is a little fluctuating. We know you're speaking live, but maybe turn off the camera so the bandwidth doesn't get absorbed by the video.
Sure, I can do that. Okay, is that good? All right. So as I'd mentioned about the security, no prompts and completion. Basically, when I say prompts and completion are basically Q&A. Prompts are question and answer. No question and answer are stored in the model during these operations. If you decide to consume this service, none of your data is your data, and they are not used to train or retrain any of the models by Microsoft. OpenAI processes the following types of data, like prompts and completion. So prompts, basically questions are submitted by the user, and completions, which are basically the output by the service. So we have a training and the validate data. You can provide your own training data if you want to fine tune. Also, the results data from the training process. After training the fine-tuned model, the service, basically the OpenAI service, will output the various metadata in the training models, and you can leverage that to improve your chatbot capabilities. As we are running out of time, I just want to quickly go over the few slides. So GPT-4, highly available, but it's still not available in a GA. You still have to request. It can solve difficult problems with greater accuracy than any of the OpenAI previous model, like GPT 3.5 Turbo. GPT-4 is optimized for chat and works well for traditional completion tasks. And GPT 3.5 model can understand and generate NLP and code as well. Most capable, highly cost effective, and in the GPT 3.0 family. So if you're planning to get started with OpenAI ChatGPT world, you can get started with ChatGPT 3.5. Embedding is basically a submodel, a set of submodels that can convert text into different vectors, and it can break the code into the chunks to further utilize, basically. And we already saw the DALL-E series of model that can generate the images, basically, with the question. And Whisper, new model is in preview, which can be like take the audio directly and transformed into a text, basically into summarized text. Azure AI content safety is also a very important topic. As we are using AI, we have to use AI responsibly. If you see once we enable the content safety feature, when we start using Azure OpenAI, it will give us the content, basically the severity level and category level out of these 4 categories, basically. Whether the content the question you ask, whether it has from one of those categories. And then you can, once you enable this, the moment the question is asked and it meets some of these category requirements, it will give you the flag. Oh, the hate category is number 2. Then behind the scene, you can have a logic. Okay, if anytime any question is asked, and if any of the category detected is greater than 2, please ban the question. Please say to the user, sorry, you are not supposed to ask this question, rephrase your question. Same thing we can enable in the answer as soon as because ChatGPT is based on the data. So your data is your data. Microsoft has no control, but in that data, you can enable the categories as well, and you can detect some of those categories. So that way you can prevent some of those abuse. So your content safety, basically, so that content is used responsibly by AI. So you can enable this content filtering, and this is heavily used in social media and where we have content and online streaming. So lots of use cases basically, and wherever you're dealing with public data, public forums, and you are enabled the ChatGPT. So heavily, basically, it can be really a game changer in terms of detecting, use AI responsibly by enabling the abuse monitoring and content safety and detecting these categories and take actions accordingly. Okay. By default, content logging is enabled. And for any reason, if you want to decide that, okay, I do not need to have a content filtering and abuse monitoring enabled, you can request Microsoft and this will be false. By default, it will be enabled. Okay. Content filtering currently is enabled on text and images by default, but down the road, other file types like audio and video will be enabled as well. Okay. So like that, if you see somebody input this question and look at that. So in this, violence is detected, category as 4. So one based on that, behind the scene, you can write a logic. If any of this is 4 or 3, 4 or 2 or 4, please disable this. Okay. And there are 4 severity levels as well. It detects not only the 0 to 4, 6. So based on the severity level, you can take an action. Okay. So what does GPT model look like? Basically, it can do the summarization, it can do the classification and generating names of phrases. It has a translation capabilities as well, answering questions and suggesting content also, and sentiment analysis. Okay. I'll skip this slide with respect of the time because we already have covered DALL-E. Quota and limits, I want to cover this as well. In the OpenAI world, we have quota is decided as well. It's an assignment of rate limits to your deployments. Basically, it's called quota. Quota is assigned to your subscription on a per region, per model basis in units. Basically, how much you can consume once you deploy GPT 3.5 or GPT 4 or GPT 3 or DALL-E. Basically, how much you can consume per model once you deploy per model. Basically, it is there in the rates per minute. When you create a model deployment, you have the option to assign TPM, which is tokens per minute, to that deployment. Basically, how much you can consume. And it can be modified in the increment of 1,000, and it will map to the TPM and RPM rate limits. Okay, so that's how it shows in your OpenAI tenant, OpenAI Studio. Once you have the OpenAI, you can view the quota for each model. Basically, you have for the DaVinci, you have 120 available. For this, you have this much available. So you can see how much you have available. And if you want to use more, please request the quota and create a ticket. Okay, right. So Microsoft Cloud runs on trust. Basically, when we say your data, it's your data. Means all of your data you use or generate with the Azure OpenAI service is stored encrypted at rest in your organization, in your subscription. So the data is always under your control. Okay. Some of these slides are there. Basically, we can, once Ron share, you can see how you can get started with some of these services. This is my LinkedIn. With that said, let me get started with the demo. Okay. This is the Power Apps demo, which I created with low code, no code platform, no native language, no .NET or Python, and a long snippet of the code. Let's see how it works. In OpenAI scenario, basically in typical scenario, when we deal with lots of unstructured data, basically audio, video, PDF in typical scenario, I leverage Power Apps, basically Power Apps low code, no code platform to ingest the data, and Power Automate to extract the data basically out of these files. I leverage Video Indexer to get the data from video file. I leverage speech to get the data from speech, and vision service from the PDF and the Outlook. And then, as I mentioned earlier, wherever we have data, we apply OpenAI to get the summarized text, to classify the text, to categorize the text. And not only that, it's not all the time that I'm asking a question from OpenAI and getting the data. I want to integrate this in my applications and save the data in maybe somewhere once the question is asked, and I want to save the answer maybe in SharePoint, in the blob storage, and create the row in SQL and whatnot. And quickly, let's do the demo here. Sorry. Okay, this is a video demo here. I have the video
Thank you for
file.
calling Martha's Flowers. How may I assist you?
Hello, I'd like to order flowers, and I think you have what I'm looking for.
I'd be happy to.
Okay, so I have this video and I can extract the data, and then what? I want to ask the question because I have to go through this whole file. I do not want to go through the video. I leverage video indexer to get the data out of the video file. Now what? I want to apply OpenAI to ask a question. What is the issue? And all this application just created with Power Platform, Power Platform, Power Automate, and I use only the OpenAI endpoints and Azure AI endpoints to consume. I'm not writing lots of code. So instead of going through the whole data, I asked a question, I got the answer here. Similarly, I go to PDF version, I can upload the PDF. I got this long PDF. I do not have time to read it. I do not want to understand it. I straight want to ask a question. What is the issue? What is this about? What is the phone number? Who are the candidates? What is they are talking about? What should be my solution? I asked the question. This is some code document, some code report, and it gave me the answer that this is report. This is used in the law industry. Okay, they get that 100 reports per day. They don't have to now read it. They can just ask questions directly by applying OpenAI. Similarly, audio file, I can upload any audio file, but there are lots of things we can do, not just upload and on demand and get that. I can set up a process in automation world where I can just, as soon as my file comes, set of questions are asked ahead of time and I have the answers automatically in the form of the dashboard. This is the original email I got. I don't want to go through this whole email and get some of these questions answered. Basically ahead of time, how nice it would be. I go to the dashboard, I have all the emails answered, some of those questions already. I see, okay, this is the customer is good, this is all looking good, the main reason is this. I can take informed decision way faster. So not all the time in OpenAI scenario, the ChatGPT scenario is there where we are asking questions and getting the answers on demand, where I can set up the process automatically, where some of those questions which I need to do my day-to-day duty, I have 7, 8, 17, 70 questions. There is no limit answered ahead of time. I can set up some automated process. And this demo is already available online on GitHub repository, and it will be there in my slide deck involved. Okay. Similarly, other use case of ChatGPT world is creating the ChatGPT chat with your own data. Basically, this repo is also publicly available where I can connect this repo with my own data, with my own company documents, and have a Bing kind of a experience, ask question. It's asking a question. This is kind of a connected with Northwind Health Plus data, but you can connect with your own data and ask question. It giving me the summarized answer. Look at this. Not only that, you can even validate from this. You ask question, the answer you are getting is coming from which PDF. So this is, you are getting the original PDF. Not only that, you are getting the supporting content option here to just to validate that from where this question is coming, because the document you updated, it's 100 pages long document. To validate, it's even giving you the 3 paragraphs from where it summarized the answer. Not only that, it is giving you the option of the thought process, why it thought that this answer is correct and why it summarized the content from multiple paragraphs. So these are the lot of capabilities we have basically to leverage OpenAI in the automation world to create some cool application like the chat with your own data on demand, like a ChatGPT capability, or go here to have basically this kind of a scenario where we are integrating and creating the automated operations to leverage, have a pipeline of lots of unstructured data, applying some of the AI services, ask questions, behind the scene basically in automation world, and save your data, accumulate data, and maybe then after that you connect your SQL or some of these things by some HTTP web service to consume it by other application. And resources used are these, and in my slide deck you will get lots of other resources for those public repos. With respect of time, any questions?